Hey there, how's it going? Y'all want to mix some colors?
Shall we?
Let's do it. All right, so I've taped down some postcards that I've started a little bit of painting on. I also have some little containers that we're going to mix our paints in, and our beloved reds that we're going to be trying different ones out. We have the cadmium red medium, a fan favorite. I also have some magenta gouache, very intense, and some cadmium red light. Yeah, so we're going to show you the differences in all these reds and how they're going to change the pinks. But yeah, ready? All right, so when I was deciding this, I was like, well, what color? Let's just jump to one that I make often. Different pinks. So I got a dirty pink, some bubblegum, some kind of salmony, pale pink somewhere in here. Yeah. And yeah, so let's choose some of these pinks and see if we can mix those today. All right, keep all that in order. Very good. Okay. There's also this other color that I like to use a lot. It's a Lucas paint. It's an apricot. It's a nice pink. I don't know if I don't know. It's pink, but yeah, it's good stuff, and we'll try and mix that color too. All using titanium white, the basic of basics. And yeah, let's start doing this. You can also use gesso if you want, or any other white paint. All right, we have our 3 different reds here. Put a teeny bit in each of these little containers, and I gave them a little spray so they don't dry out too much. I love using these tiny little containers. They're not so great for filming, but I'm gonna show you what I do. So yeah, I put a generous amount of white in there because it's pink, and you just use a very tiny bit of color mixed with it. I keep it from drying out, give it a little spray, and again, tiny little amount. Alright, it's already a pretty nice pale pink. Make sure you get all the chunks out. If there is a little globule of white, it's going to streak through. So I'm going to put a little sample down. I have a couple different types of paper here just to see if the paint absorbs a little different, looks a little different in each kind. So we have a sketchbook here that is a bleed-proof paper, good for paint, or a small amount of paint at least. And then some watercolor paper sketchbook over here. Pretty good, and maybe a little bit on our postcards that we're gonna create alongside the, yeah, a little bit more, just to show you the real diversity of pink that you can get with this cadmium red medium. Alright, put a little sample down, each of these. Paint a little. Alright, that's pretty close to our first sample. Not bad. Like a pale bubblegum. Not sure what you're gonna call that, but I'll say that one's good. Check. Put the lid on this baby and move along to the cadmium red light. Remember, a good amount of white we're gonna mix with that. Sometimes you get a little paint in the ferrule. Really gotta wipe it off good. Alright. Just a little bit. You can already see the big difference in the two cadmiums. This one is pretty orangey in comparison. It's a better, like salmon-y pink, if you will, or go. A little bit of that pale boy on there. Pretty orange for a red, but yeah. When just a little bit more and you can really see just a little more saturated that gets. It's pretty orange. So even though it is a red, a cadmium red, it will produce a very orangey pink, which I'm not complaining about. There it is. A little sample for you. A little sample for you. All right. Some down here. Right. Here we go. Clean it off real well for y'all. Not usually so anal about it, but for this experiment, we're going to make sure we're going to do it right. On a white napkin, it really helps. Alright, put in here, one that doesn't have a lid. Keep it moist. Alright, let's go to this magenta. Give it a little spray so it doesn't dry out. But you know what, as that other one is drying, I'm noticing it's very similar to this sample I have here. Let me show you a little better. I wouldn't have thought this, but it's pretty close. You know, if I would have put a little more red in there, it might have been closer. So I'm going to say that one's done. Check it off the list. All right, back to the magenta. Add a good amount of this titanium. Now this is gouache, so it's going to be a little more concentrated. So just a teeny bit goes a pretty long way. You see that? It's not as pale as the other pinks, so let's add a little more white to it. Very good for making bubblegum pink very quickly. Alright, that's pretty good, nice and pale. A little bit for you. A little bit over here. Alright, just a little more of that beautiful magenta, and it is already a really nice pink. So much so I'm going to put a bunch on that postcard. Alright, pretty easy peasy, so that's that. But what about dirty pink? Where it's like a nice kind of fleshy tone. Or this nice apricot. Well, for those, we're going to add some more pigments, such as a nice yellow. We have this cadmium yellow light. We have other cadmium yellows. This is a medium. We're not going to use it. We also have yellow ochre. But just to show you, these yellows are going to make some nice variations on these pinks. Alright, let's go into the cadmium yellow light, and let's try and make that apricot. Well, this is where I start to regret how tiny these containers are for this video, but this is just what I normally use. So I'm kind of used to it, but you might have to squint a little. And start to mix that yellow in. or maybe mix too much yellow in. I love how forgiving paint is. Sample it out, still too yellow, no problem. Just add a little more red. So again, this is that cadmium red medium, getting even closer to that apricot color. That's pretty good. I'm gonna say that's it. Alright, here's your sample. Right down here next to the other cadmium red medium. Right. I like to wipe off the excess paint before I dip it into the water. Right, keep that for later. This is almost rosy, dirty pink. Let's use that for our dirty pink. And we're going to use a little bit of this yellow ochre with it. Just a bit of that. And just mix that a little bit at a time. That magenta and titanium white to start to get a nice dirty pink. It's pretty good, nice color, but maybe not as dark as we want it. I really do like this color though. So I'm going to add just a little more ochre and give a sample of that because sometimes they look a little different when they dry. Truth be told, there's ultramarine blue to get that dark of a dirty pink. So I just mixed that up real quick and put the sample out already. But yeah, ultramarine blue, just a little bit of it is that top one right there. So yeah, that's a lot of different kinds of pinks. See how this one is kind of in between the ochre and when we added the blue. Yeah, pretty nice, pretty close. Pretty subtle shifts in each one, but I think you get a better idea having seen all that. So that's, wow, that's 9 pinks right there. More pages of 9 pinks. And now what this really needs is some notation, so don't forget to write down what everything is. So if you have a poor memory of knowing what mixed what with what to get it, this is going to save your neck right here. It's really nice to write it down beforehand too, so you know what you're doing before going into it. But yeah, that's it. Good job, everyone. Thanks for watching. And this little mess I've made. Ta-da! Thanks. Oh yeah, I made you some postcards, by the way. Okay. Bye!